I'm going to talk about reflections. My first job at the carnival, I got to work the Hall of Mirrors, and that was really cool. The Hall of Mirrors is, of course, a big glass mirror maze that you walk through and hopefully don't smack your face into to get to the upstairs to get to a slide. I learned a lot this weekend about how I work with children and how that maze was just a metaphor for life. I remember growing up, it was always my favorite ride because I was afraid of rides, and so that was, a rather safe one. You just walk through the maze and you get to ride the slide. It seemed very much for a metaphor for life as halfway through the weekend, some kids discovered that there was a secret way that I had access to that goes through the back. In case a kid's freaking out in there, I can go remove them and go help them. When these kids found it out, they said, well, that's the shortcut. I'm going to take that way. And at first I said, well, all right, you gave me your tickets. I don't care what you do at this time. And then eventually someone came over and said, you can't let them do that. That's not the point of the ride. So then to try to wrestle these children who I had allowed all weekend was an interesting power struggle. It became, them like tackling me to the ground because they knew there was a shortcut. So I tried reasoning with them. I said, but you gave me your ticket so you could do the ride. The whole point of the ride is the maze. They said, no, we're just doing this for the slide. I said, well, who am I to tell you to just skip to the end, do the slide if that's the whole reason you're in this thing? But then, I had to sternly stop. I think at some point they did listen after I had to tackle a couple of them politely. It was crazy. But anyway, I came up with a metaphor that I was talking to the parents about and talking to them about how, yes, there's a shortcut. If the whole purpose of your life is to ride the slide, then yeah, by all means, you can skip ahead to the end and ride the slide. But if the purpose of it is the maze, then why not enjoy that part of it? If it's a metaphor for life. And so what would happen is the kids who would go in very assuredly of themselves going, oh, this is easy, they would rush right in and they'd smack their face into the first mirror that they came across. And so they'd stop and shake it off and then keep going, sure-footedly. And those were always the kids who would smack their face into the mirror over and over again. It was very interesting to have to explain to them, like life, there is no rush to anything. Take your time and really enjoy it. And the kids, it was interesting because some kids had tickets and some kids had wristbands. Kids with wristbands had unlimited access to all the rides. The kids with the tickets, you paid your tickets and you were in. So it was neat that the kids with tickets would take all the time in the world, and just really enjoy themselves, where the kids with wristbands would just run through as quick as they could to do it over and over again. It was fun watching those kids because the more they would do it, they'd be like, oh, okay, I know the maze now. And then eventually they'd smack their heads face first into the mirror again, and on a couple occasions cry, and I'd have to go in there and rescue them. But it just seemed very poignant to me that, if they were rushing, they were defeating the purpose of it. Thought that they knew what they were doing, then they would get hurt. And if they, if they assumed that they knew the way, then they didn't. The ones who really took their time and felt it out were successful and got to ride the slide. So I don't know, it just became this whole thing. It was an interesting perspective too because the parents from the outside could look in and the kids can see them back. And from the outside, it seems to make a lot of sense. And so they'd go left, what are you doing? Yelling at their kids through. So occasionally I would let the parents who were very much like that. And I said, you know what, just go in and try it for yourself. It is a maze. It looks easier on the outside because they're out here yelling at their kids. Can't you figure it out? No, it's a maze, sir. And it was interesting to watch those parents go in thinking they knew and then smacking their face and going, oh, shoot, I got to actually, take my time. So anyway, so it's just a metaphor for, when you think you know everything, you're going to get smacked in the face. If you try to rush through life, you're going to get knocked down. And I guess the slide's always waiting at the end, no matter how long it takes you to get there. Um, I really enjoyed doing that a lot, and it was very poignant at the time. I'd just gone through a couple months of really working with the idea of reflections, the idea and the theory that anything that I see out in the world is a reflection of my environment. Everything that anybody would encounter is a reflection of them. So if I see something I admire in somebody else, I can only see it because it's something that exists within myself. And if I see something that I don't like in somebody else, it's only because I also, have those tendencies. And so the idea is that that's what we're all here together for, or one of many reasons, is that it is much easier for me to see something in you than it is to see it in me, and that we're all in that way mirrors to each other, that everyone who you encounter in your life then has something to show you about yourself. And so it was really cool that after all of that reflecting on reflections that I got the House of Mirrors as my first job on the Carnival gig was pretty cool. Uh, and I think that that's just a humbling thing. Is the next time you see something out there in the world that you like or you don't like, just try to remember that you're only experiencing it because it resides within you as well, and that's where the idea of being the change you wish to see in the world is a more tangible idea. Is that there's not much that we can affect outside of ourselves, but we can 100% affect ourselves. And so if there's something out in the world that's reflected that we enjoy or don't enjoy, that we can't do anything about it out there. I mean, we can, but that the most proactive place that we can do, that we can affect change in the world is within our inner world. And that I at least trust that the work that I do internally is reflected outward like a ripple across time and space and all that jazz. So I guess that's it on reflections. Reflect on that.